the external parties don't really look at it from a factual perspective because there is a way society has programmed us to think. Now, coming back to the issue of the in-laws getting involved, at times I tell people in-laws can be outlaws. No, they can mismanage you. It's very possible. Because remember, marriage is a union between two people. When you're coming together, assuming it's not an African arranged marriage, it's just a normal marriage, then again, it's between you two. When you met, there's something that you looked at the eyes or the body or that other person and saw, I can cope with this, I like this, and the attributes that you saw in that person. So at the end of the day, whether marriage works or doesn't work, basically, in as far as we have the support system and all these other issues, the biggest percentage of making the marriage work is about you two. You know, the people in the marriage, the two people in the marriage. And therefore, the issue of in-laws, they should be limited. Of course, they have the right to be involved in a number of issues because, like, if you have any issues, you are going to run to them, of course, for help and for advice and for all these other things. But then don't overindulge them in your activities, in your plans. You know, this kind of a setup whereby you're going to discuss with the mother-in-law, like, now the man discussing with the mother, how many children are we going to have? How many, you know, how old, I mean, after how long are you going to be having these children? All these conversations, I believe, should be personal between the two of you. Let them come in to support your decisions, but don't let them make your decisions.
Yeah, and you've spoken about the whole aspect of fertility and the facts that we need to get. Do you think that we as society then downplay the importance of having fertility checks before a marriage? And we've spoken about your conversation tuna have with regard to children and everything. Should we also embrace checking that and ensuring that, you know, we need to know what is the state of my partner, what is my state, as we have all the other checks that we have before we get into marriage?
I think it's important, given where we are today. Of course, traditionally, maybe it was not possible to do the checkup and all this because the advancement in technology, the access to, you know, the specialist and all these things maybe was not viable back then. But with the current rate of technology and the current rate of exposure, I think it's something that we need to have. Now, you may not go for the checkup, the fertility checkup and all this, but if you're not going to go for that, then again, have that discussion. What happens if we get into this and we don't get children? It doesn't have to be a fertility, a primary fertility issue from the word go. You could get married today, tomorrow you get an accident that makes it impossible to have children. So it's always going to have this broader conversation of what if we get into it and these plans does not materialize, because you could be having fertility tests and checks and everything showing positive, but then again, you never know what happens tomorrow, what happens 1 year down the line or 2 years down the line. And like I said, marriage is a long-term kind of engagement. So it's going to have the checks if possible, but if not, at least ensure you have this conversation of we are going into this, what happens if it doesn't work?
So have that